I'm in College Station, Texas today, and I'm checking out the unfortunate murder of 21-year-old Carolyn Casey. Now, if you don't know much about College Station, Texas, it's kind of mid-central Texas, maybe a little bit more south, and Texas A&M is one of the big colleges here in town. And so many people living here most likely are going to one of those colleges, and Carolyn was no exception. She was, of course, a college student. So let's get into the story. On the evening of May 27th, 2000, 21-year-old Carolyn Casey was attending a party here at her College Station, Texas apartment, and this is located at 2101 Harvey Mitchell Parkway South. This is the Flats on 12 apartments. Again, I'm guessing 20 years ago when this murder took place, this was called something completely different. I don't think this was the same name anyway. But this is the address, and this is where she was murdered. Again, on May 27th, 2000, Carolyn was hanging out at a party here at the apartment complex. And also in attendance was a guy by the name of Yanobi Matthews. And again, I could be pronouncing his name completely wrong, but Casey was an acquaintance with Matthews, and they obviously knew each other from the apartment complex or whatever. During the party, she gave him a ride to the grocery store to purchase alcohol. But when she returned to the party, Carolyn Casey became ill, and so she decided to go home by herself to her own apartment here at the same complex. When Matthews returned to the party later, though, one of the people in attendance noticed that Matthews had a really foul smell coming from him, but that he couldn't really describe what it was, except he kept saying that it wasn't body odor, but it was just a really bad smell apparently. Around 1:30 or 2 in the morning, the next morning, which would have been May 28th, one of Carolyn's neighbors heard a loud noise coming from her apartment, which sounded like a bunch of thuds. And around 4:50 in the morning, the fire department actually responded because there was a fire inside Carolyn Casey's apartment. When firefighters and police arrived, they noticed that the screen on the window had been cut and folded outward, meaning that obviously someone broke in through that screened window. They could unlock the door, which is exactly what happened. When firefighters and police entered the apartment, they found Carolyn Casey only wearing a t-shirt and socks, and her body was positioned propped up against the bed. Obviously she was dead. It says the inner parts of her legs and groin area were burned. Some paper and other objects were placed between her legs in order to try to start the fire. Police interviewed Matthews and his roommate, of course, in connection with the murder, since it was in the same complex where they lived. And in response, Matthews actually turned over some of his clothing that he was wearing that night of the party, and also gave some DNA samples, including some of his hair, blood, and saliva. When they did some more testing, they found that some of Matthews' DNA, including some of his clothing fibers, were found on Casey's body and under her fingernails. Also, some fibers from Casey's panties were found on his shirt as well. When the police interrogated Matthews about what they found, he told the police that they had been seeing each other on and off for a few weeks, and admitted that in the early morning hours of May 28th that he had consensual sex with Carolyn, and that he had ripped off her underwear while they were messing around. They had gotten into a fight during which he threw her on the bed and choked her to death. The official autopsy reports, though, stated that she died of results of manual strangulation, which also broke a bone in her neck. Of course, Matthews was promptly arrested for Carolyn's murder and sexual assault. During the trial, it says that Matthews attempted to sexually assault 2 other women and had actually succeeded in sexually assaulting 3 others. And during most of those events, he would end up choking them. Matthews was eventually convicted of her murder and sexual assault, and he was actually given the death penalty for that. January 2004, Yonobi Matthews, who was then 36 years old, was finally executed by lethal injection. I think the family finally got their justice they were looking for. This was, just one of those absolutely tragic cases where, a girl just meets a guy at a party, and, who knows what's true, what Matthews was saying. I don't think they necessarily had any kind of relationship. I think that was just his way of trying to minimize what he had done. I think he took full advantage of the fact that she was feeling sick, and he broke into her apartment and, of course, did what he did. And so I think he was fully aware of what he was doing, and ultimately ended a young, bright, young girl's life for nothing, for no reason. Just absolutely tragic. All right, guys, I'm back at the Waco Memorial Park Cemetery here in Waco, Texas. Anyway, so this is Carolyn Casey. This is her resting place here. So Carolyn grew up in Lawton, Oklahoma, and moved to College Station, Texas, again, where she was killed. She lived in College Station for 8 years, and I guess was a graduate of Timber Academy there. She was also a daycare teacher at First Baptist Church. Now, for whatever reason, Carolyn is buried in the section where all the veterans are buried, and I'm trying to figure out why, because from what I've been reading, I don't think she was a veteran in any form. I don't think she served in the military or anything like that. Unless I missed something in the article, I don't understand why she's buried in the veterans section. If you guys have any idea on why that might be, please let me know. Not that it's a big deal or anything, I just find it kind of odd. Anyway, don't mind me, I'm a sweaty mess. Again, it's middle of summer in Texas, so what can you do? But anyway, guys, again, rest in peace to Carolyn Casey. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Again, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and it'll keep you in the loop every time I upload videos, which are Mondays and Fridays. Lots of episodes every single week. Stay tuned. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.